Hi, my name is Jesse Abelman and I teach Parshanut at Drisha. This week's Parsha tells us, Kol amana v'yatom lo te'anun. Im ane te'ane oto, kim t'ok yitzak elai, shamo eshma tza'akato, v'chara api v'haragti etchem b'charev, v'hayu neshechem almanot u'bnechem yatomim. You shall not ill-treat any widow or orphan. If you do mistreat them, I will heed their outcry as soon as they cry out to me. And my anger shall blaze forth, and I will put you to the sword, and your own wives shall become widows, and your children orphans. Rashi explains this crime fairly straightforwardly. The reason you shouldn't oppress the widows and the orphans is because they're very vulnerable. As a consequence, you have a very severe punishment. In fact, he makes the punishment even more severe than it seems from the simple reading of the text. He says that not only will your wives become widows, and your children become orphans, but they won't know about your death. And as a consequence, they will be widows and orphans forever, unable to remarry. Rom Bond has a slightly different take on what the crime is, though he agrees about the punishment. Rom Bond says that it's not only the most vulnerable widows and orphans for whom you receive this horrible punishment, but even widows who have some financial means behind them. For those too, your children and wives will be punished almost as severely as the actual oppressor. So Rashi's pretty clear, right? He says that the most vulnerable people in society require a super severe punishment from God in order to protect them. Rambam, though, I think is a little bit more puzzling. Why is it that even for widows who have some wherewithal, some means to defend themselves, they too are protected by God in this very severe way? I believe that for Ramban, the widow is the figure or the symbol of the vulnerable person. In the ancient Near East, as well as in the 13th century where he lived, an unmarried woman had no one to protect her. She was outside of the family unit, and as such, had no one to stand up for her. Even if she has some financial means, for example, she still, if someone tries to take it, has no one to turn to say, help me. As a consequence, God is her only shelter. So she turns to him, and he smites her oppressor as hard as he possibly can. The consequences aren't just on the oppressor, but also on his wife and children, the fabric of the society in which he lives. Therefore, it is upon us to step up and protect those who are most vulnerable in society, to look after them, to make sure they have people to defend them. We should stand up for them so that God doesn't have to. Shabbat Shalom.